Perfect. 907, welcome. My name is Dimitri. I am CEO of MindStudio. It's a platform we're going to be using today to, again, kind of show you fundamental AI skills. I'm going to be using MindStudio to do these because, I know how to use this hammer. But the things I'm teaching you are actually kind of transferable to either manually, like interacting with AI models or like using some other type of, model orchestration software. There's a company out there called N8N that we get compared to quite a bit. Show of hands like this, not interface, but like visually. Anybody heard of N8N? Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. And so that is if people compare us to anything, 9 out of 10 times it's that. And so the things I'm teaching you today, you can go and use on N8N. Okay. N8N typically people report as kind of for more technical, requires kind of more configuration, kind of like Linux, and we're kind of like Windows or Mac OS. They're the same thing. One is awesome. You got to do a lot of configuration. Others, you don't have to do as much configuration, but like maybe that's not what you're interested in. Anyway, so the stuff I'm going to teach you is transferable. There's nothing you need to do to follow along with here. This is being recorded. And the things I'm going to show you, there's lots of other sources, various tutorials that we've created, or if you just look on LinkedIn, there are people posting every day kind of tutorials on how to do different things with MindStudio. So my goal here today is to, again, kind of very quickly show you a bunch of rapid fire demos of agents. Then to quickly jump in and teach you how to build agents. And that by the time you leave here today, like the moment after, you'll be like, okay, I can go and build some agents right now for myself to help me automate this part of my workflow or to do this or that. That's what you're going to get by the time you leave this class today. Okay. But for the rest of it, you got to sit back, relax, and I'll take you on a journey. Cool? Okay, thank you everyone who's got your cameras turned on. Again, I really appreciate it. Everybody else, if you want to turn them on, cool. If not, again, no worries, especially if you're like in a witness protection program or something like that. I wouldn't want to be the one to out you out. Okay, let me move the screen here. Too many screens. Okay, I see Ross appreciating this. Thank you, Ross. Okay, you can see my screen. Awesome. So, yes, I lied. Let me quickly just frame this for you because it'll put it all in context. And then I'm going to rapidly show you demos. Yep, this is what happens when you, sorry here. My computer decided to update the operating system. Yeah, and all of a sudden now I got to log into everything again. All right, and off we go. I'm going to spend 5 minutes in this deck because I hate presentations. So bear with me. I'm going to go very fast. Okay. This thing again, we're going to use MindStudio is a platform for optimizing business processes using AI for automating things. We call these things AI agents. It's easy to learn to do this. There's no technical skills required. You're going to, as I mentioned, by the time you leave here, you're going to be able to build all kinds of AI agents. You're going to be a beginner of it, but you're going to be a competent beginner. You're going to have real skills. If you invest some more hours, a few more hours, you're going to be much more skilled. If you invest a couple of days, you're going to be a ninja. Like that's the learning time. It's not weeks, it's not months, it's not, if you want to learn this, you can learn it in a couple of days. Okay. So you create these agents really easily. By the way, the average time to create an agent, once you know what you're doing, is like 3 minutes to 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Like it's rare that you spend an hour on building an agent. So you can build these things very rapidly. Okay. And like, why would you build them? You overwhelmingly built them to automate work you've been doing manually, things you've been doing. Maybe it's work or play, whatever it is, but like things you do manually with a computer, using your brain and your fingers and your eyes and all that. What if you do them sort of repetitively? once a day, once a week, once an hour, it doesn't matter. Like if you want to do them repetitively, it makes more sense to spend 5 minutes and make an agent to just help you do that than to keep doing it manually. Okay. So that's what that's for. Because of this, there's over 200,000 of these MindStudio AI agents that have been built and deployed by individuals and businesses of all kinds, governments. This is His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the British Tax Authority, the British IRS, that uses MindStudio to help them in recruiting, to automate a bunch of parts of recruiting, New York Times, etc. And while these companies here are not enterprise customers, their employees are customers of ours, meaning MindStudio is being used inside of these companies, brought in bottom up by individual employees, teams, etc. So like all kinds of things. We're venture backed. We've raised over 36 million. You can find the list on our website if you get curious. I used to work at Google. Lots of sort of senior, VPs of Google here. That's how that happened. Uh, the way we kind of describe what's happening in the world right now from our vantage point, again, of over 200,000 of these AI agents that are in all these different sort of entities, is that whatever business you're in, the business does something. It works. It might be clunky or it might be very efficient, but you've got processes that are running and they work fine. But the next thing to do with this generative AI stuff that now allows us to look at those processes again and make them run sort of dramatically better, faster, and more autonomously. This is this next phase of instrumenting each job function in an organization, not giving them more SaaS. They have enough SaaS. It's taking the SaaS they already have and the process they already have and sort of gluing it together a bit better, integrating it together a bit better. So it just goes. So they don't have to do as many things manually. Again, as I show you some of these demos, it'll make a lot more sense. But these are like huge unlocks. And like once you see them, you can't unsee them because they're just so obvious. Okay, so you just need to make your business run faster. The people that know the best where the business needs automation are the people that are doing the work. You don't need some third-party consultants to come in and spend a year with you and understand it. Just train your people to have this new lens to be able to see what's possible with orchestrating AI, with like in platforms like N8N or MindStudio or whatever. And as soon as you, again, know how to use them, you can clearly see in your own workflow, in your team's workflow, in your business workflows, where there are areas where you can spend a little bit of time and simply automate them or give them tools that make them dramatically more efficient. And once you do that, either IT can build these tools or some third-party consultants can build these tools, or the receptionist can build these tools, or the VP of engineering can build these tools. Like everyone can build these tools for themselves. Okay. There's lots of people talking about us online, right, that are love MindStudio. I'm not gonna, spend your time on this, but if you wanted to look, there's like we're so humbled and grateful just that people are expressing themselves of like what this means to them because the value is profound, and we yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It like makes me a bit emotional actually thinking about it. So I apologize for that. Okay, so to get started, it's really easy. Right now, you are here. We're doing this thing. Also, there's like tons of self-guided tutorials you can watch. Most people learn this way by just watching some tutorials, reading documentation. But we have these like other forms of learning. This is what we're doing now, this 2 hour. Actually, starting tomorrow, there's a cohort of a 2-day boot camp, full days, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific. It's like intensive. We also do a 30-day boot camp, etc. Okay, and let's just play. Sorry. So again, I hate presentations. And so I want to get out of that. And let me show you some quick demos. Now, these are non-canonical demos. So, oh my God, what is going on with me here? How is this? Fail Apple. Upgrading operating system. Okay, so rapid demos. Again, these are not canonical demos, meaning there's countless use cases. There's already over 200,000 deployed doing all kinds of stuff. So these are just some random demos, but I want you to see some patterns in these things. And don't pay much attention to them, but like see the patterns I'm trying to show you. So this is a long read, in this case about like the movie industry, okay? And I propose to you that what we do in our life as like knowledge workers using the computer is we use our time and attention and brain power to consume dense information, to parse it, to try to figure out what's relevant, what's not, how this is related to this, right? And sort of go through and use our mental energy understanding this document. Like if I needed to understand this document, the time and mental energy required is extremely large, but not anymore. And so I have a little thing here on the right-hand side. This is a Chrome extension. You can install it free of charge. And it allows me to have, along with me everywhere I go on the web, these little buttons. And these little buttons are AI agents. And so when I click this little button, whenever I'm on a long read, it automatically grabs all of this content, sends it to my agent. And the job of this specific agent here is to go through this content with a fine-tooth comb and to pull out all of the statements, claims, relevant points that are here. Like, and again, see, it's still going. And so right now I would be doing this. And of course, this thing is infinitely faster than I am. And so it can get through this thing pretty quickly. And then I can say copy, or I can share this, or I could actually, if I wanted to, get something else, extract all entities mentioned. And now, again, if somebody said to you, mere mortal human, extract all the entities mentioned in this document, your brain would melt. But this thing doesn't flinch, and here they are. Okay, so this is a little magic button. It works on any page on the internet. You'd be looking at a database. You could be looking at whatever your SaaS product that's running in here. You could be looking at a, in fact, let's do it. You could be looking at a 2-hour YouTube video or an 8-hour YouTube video. Like I've run these on 8 hours, doesn't flinch. So this is an interview with Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon. There's a lot of important, interesting things here. In the past, this would have cost me, you know, I watch it 2 times speed, an hour of my life and my mental energy and my attention. And most of the time I'd find like most of the shit isn't even relevant to me. There'd be a couple of good nuggets that were important, but are they worth the time? No, they're not. And now I've got the same little button I can click, and it knows how to find the transcript on this page. And it grabs the transcript, sends it to this agent, and this agent uses its mental energy and its attention to extract the salient points out of this. And so I get to read YouTube videos in a tiny fraction of the time as compared to people who have to listen to YouTube videos, to watch them. And that gives me an extreme competitive advantage. I can consume 100 times more content than a mere mortal can from this very important medium, video. Okay, so this is huge. Again, this is a superpower to be able to do that. This exact same button works anywhere else. Like this is, you know, Twitter. If you want to understand why American jobs are collapsing, well, you could like scroll through Twitter and, you know, potentially get traumatized. Or you could just click this button, and this button will it'll get rid of all the trauma and it just like gets you the like relevant stuff that's going on. Well, it seems like tariffs aren't very good. Here's another example of this. Again, I'm kind of giving you like rapid fire random things. It's not about the thing. It's about the like with this button capability. This is one way that you can deploy MindStudio agents. We kind of skipped that. One type of agent you can deploy, easily build with no code in a matter of a few minutes. We're about to build this agent. It'll take us less than 5 minutes because I'm talking. I can do it in like less than 1 minute. Okay, but like to be able to create this and deploy it as a button, as a browser extension button that you can then use on any website. This is a monumental unlock. This is huge. This you'll see. And that's what I'm trying to show you. And so this is a profile. Again, this one is on Twitter. You could do this on LinkedIn. You could do it on some website that lists the speakers that are going to be there. And if you want to like understand a person, like what they're about, you can use a lot of mental energy, or you can push a button. And an agent can do all of that same stuff, not to extract all the salient points, but help me understand Gary. Help me understand some stats about Gary, to make it easier for me to see them. Help me understand what Gary cares about and how he thinks and who important people are that he engages with. And so like just reading this TLDR on Gary gives me, again, an unfair advantage to be able to approach Gary for a partnership, for a relationship, for business, whatever it is, right? Okay, huge. Okay, this exact same type of a thing works on, again, anything in the browser. This is a 182-page financial disclosure. The mental energy required to parse this would be extreme. Not for me. I have a little button, which is a financial analyst button down here. Goes somewhere around here. There it is, financial analyst. I'm not going to push it because it takes like 2 minutes to run and use up a bunch of tokens. It'll cost me like 3 cents to do. But like this thing works amazingly well. And again, we're about to build these buttons here, like really quickly. Okay, 2 more demos and then we will start building. So this is a job. Well, this one's in French, so I'm not going to do that. This is a job spec. And in the past, if you want to apply for a job, well, you got to help the company understand why you are the right candidate for this job. Trust me, these days they get an insane number of applications that apply for all these jobs. Okay, and so you got to write a cover letter. Writing cover letter is hard. It uses a lot of mental energy. But not anymore. Now I've got a little button here. Again, using MindStudio, you can create these AI agents that also have front-end interfaces. This one's got an ugly upload button. I didn't take the extra 30 seconds required to make it look nice and all that. But it's a front-end interface, and I can simply click upload, and I can just give it my resume. And now it knows about the job spec because it can see the page. It knows about my resume. And so it can write a custom cover letter that point by point makes it clear, using my resume, why I am the perfect candidate for this specific job. I also happen to be the perfect candidate for all of these specific jobs. And this thing can help me tell that story. And again, to me, this was always, when I had to write cover letters, like just daunting. And therefore I didn't do it, and therefore I missed out on stuff. Last demo. So I've now raised over $140 million for 3 companies that I've been a founder of. Here we've raised 36 million, and then whatever last company's raised just over 100. So I know lots of VCs, but once in a while I like to engage in an activity that I call VC collecting. And so I have here just an Airtable database. It could be a Google Sheet. It could be anything. It could be a text file. And it's got a database of name, photo, current job, and these are just VCs, you see, venture capitalists. Current company, professional summary, education, key experiences, latest posts on LinkedIn, their LinkedIn profile, and their email. The way this database gets built is as such. Again, in the past, if I wanted to reach out to Adam, I would use my time and mental energy to understand what he cares about, who he is, so that I could say connect and have 300 characters to be able to get Gary to pay, to pay attention to me. And sometimes that worked and sometimes that didn't. But no matter what, the cost was extreme, meaningful. Now I don't do that anymore because I have a little button and I just push that button and I can actually move on. I don't even need to wait for anything because this thing, all it does is grab all of their data from this page. This one looks nice. Let's collect him too. And then grabs the data. It has to go find their email address. So it goes to another service to enrich it because LinkedIn doesn't have email addresses, but this thing does. And then it sits in this database until I spin up another agent, which most of the time isn't running, that simply connects to this database. In fact, if you look here of these like latest posts, it's got these like square brackets And then these things have these like curly braces because these aren't for humans. This isn't for me. This database is for another AI agent that harasses these VCs until they respond with custom messages once in a while. I just thought I'd reach out again. By the way, with great power comes great responsibility. That's why most of the time this thing isn't running. But again, my capability to get in touch with someone, whether it's VC or it's a prospect or whatever, versus mere mortal capabilities to do that, well, you can't possibly compare that, right? Okay, let's build some agents. Let's build some agent, not an agent. Let's build some agent. MindStudio.ai, my workspace, follow my mouse, build new agent. Now, you don't have to remember any of this. We're going to do a bunch of these. And once you get out, you'll see a YouTube tutorial and you'll remember this pattern. So just relax, don't worry. We're going to give this thing a name right here at the top, and I'm just going to call this one TLDR. We're going to build that magic purple button I've got. I can press on any kind of content, PDFs, Twitter posts, YouTube videos, long reads, doesn't matter, anything in the browser. And it will extract all of the meaningful points in it, the salient points, okay? So we gave it a name. That's all we've done so far. We gave this thing a name. These agents are made of these things called workflows. We're going to have just one, but you can have many. When you click on this is called a block. This is also a block. You can add more blocks. When you click on a block, things on the right change. And there you go. So in the start block, you have to configure a trigger. A trigger is like, what makes this thing wake up and do something? Is it on demand, meaning you human will load it and say, I now want you agent to do something for me? Or does it just run automatically on a schedule that you set or many schedules that you set? Is it triggered via browser extension, which is what we're going to use first demo? Is it an emailable agent? It automatically gets a custom email address and you can just start emailing things to it. And it will take all those things you email to them and analyze them and do something. Yeah. Or other ways. This one's just going to be browser extension. And then I'm going to click plus and say generate text. This means call a large language model. Yeah. Talk to a large language model. It says, what's the prompt? And the prompt I'm going to give it is extract all learnings. You could say extract all salient points, list all the things that are relevant in this document. You're just talking to a model. You all know that you can do it. I like this prompt, extract all learnings. And then I type double curly braces. Okay, these double curly braces, they're called, for those of you that are not programmers, double curly braces. As soon as I do that, I get a big drop down of things that I can add to this. What we're looking for here is this thing called page content. Page content, what that means is when you're on some page content means all of the content that is visible on the page. We automatically get that. That just comes to us in a variable called page content. We also have a bunch of other things that are provided to us. There's that page content. We also know the URL of the page on which that button was clicked. We know the metadata, that's what's behind the scenes and the head of the document. We have the access, if we want to the full HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But here all we needed was this page content. And that's it. And actually we're done. And we're just going to display this back to the user. That's the default behavior, display this back to the user. And so we're done, and we can simply say publish. And we've now created that magic button, that little purple button. Ours isn't purple because I didn't give it an icon. And it's also not here. These are called pinned. These are like my favorites. But if I click on this, because we just made it, it can't be my favorite yet. We're going to get, there's our agent here. By the way, there's many other agents that are available to me. I'll show you in a moment. We actually have over 100 agents that we've already built. You can just start using. But I'm teaching you how to build these things. So those are available here too. And so if we wanted to run ours on this thing, we can just say run. By the way, we could click here, and then we could add this to starred or pinned. Pinned means it's going to show up here. Starred means it's going to show up at the top of this list. And like, look, here's that button. Again, it runs on any kind of a thing that you can see online. Okay, so that's kind of like your first AI agent. Again, let's review what we did. We did nothing but give it a name. We could have also given it an icon and chose who has access to it, and we could embed it in our website. This one wouldn't make sense to embed in the website because it's a button, but others make sense, and many other things. We simply said on the start block, we said that it's browser extension. And we just used one block, which is the generate text block, means call a language model. And we simply gave it the command, extract all learnings, and then gave it from what? From what? Well, from all this page content. Extract all learnings from all this page content. And so when we put this here, what the model sees when the model gets it are not the words page content in curly braces. This gets replaced by all of that content. Imagine if just literally it pastes all that and replaces this little bit here with all of that. And so the model sees extract all learnings from this. By the way, it's also good practice here to use these things called XML, this isn't code. It looks like code, but this is just like, think of them as these like being labels. They kind of look like HTML. There's like a starting thing and there's an ending thing. And then in the middle, you give it this thing. Because remember, all that content is going to be a big blob of content. And so we don't want the model to get confused between what's the command and what is the command working on. Does that make sense? We'll see more of this. These are just best practices. You don't need to do this. That other thing worked as I showed you. But this is a good best practice to actually label them. Again, this word can be anything. Just as long as it's like sort of here, it should be descriptive of like what is in here. You could say web page, you could say article, you could say data, it doesn't matter, but like that. Okay, great. So we made one agent. Now I want to show you that, when you're in this, like your workspace, in this build section, you have your published agents. And this is the agent we just built. And so I can click here and I can say duplicate. And so we've just made a copy of that agent. This is a brand new copy. If we mess it up, it doesn't mess up the old agent. But now we have all that stuff already. So we already know that if we're going to make a new one, which I will, list, yeah, that we should change its name. Again, theoretically, we should upload some icon. Let's see if I've got any icons or something here that I could use. Sure, let's use this icon here. And so now it looks a little bit better and we can sort of see it in our list, okay? We're still going to make it a browser extension. We're going to leave this block here we're just going to change this command. We're not even going to touch this. We're just going to change this command. And I'm going to say, do a fundamental analysis. By the way, you can misspell every word. Because AI models are amazing, they will still know what you're saying. But do a fundamental, in fact, I did misspell it here, fundamental analysis on this. I could just say on this, but I'm just going to say on this stock. Okay. And that's it. So all I changed was the name. I gave it an icon just for fun. And I left this alone. And all I changed was this one line. So this is the only thing that's different between this agent and the last agent we built. And I'm going to publish this. And now I have another agent. And now I could be somewhere that has some financial, data like Yahoo Finance, popular site. And here's data, about Tesla. And I can click here and I can find my agent and I can run it. And it's going to grab all of this junk here, all of it, and figure out that, like, yeah, this guy doesn't want, or girl, whoever it is thinks it's using it, my user doesn't want all of these stocks. We're talking about Tesla. I understand that this is the main stock. And now I get all of this incredible thoughtfulness about, is this valuable or not? What did it cost us to make a magic button like this? That if you do some trading and you look at stocks once in a while, having this button is profoundly valuable. It's absurdly valuable. Okay, so you can do that. In fact, staying on this for a moment, I'm going to pause so I can wave my hands, then we'll come back to a demo. A couple of months ago, I got connected to a customer, a user of MindStudio, who's a day trader, who has a bunch of AI agents running that he's built, non-technical person. One of them is an agent that tracks Google Trends. Do you guys know what Google Trends is? Trends.google.com, show of hands, some. Yeah. If you're like in the SEO business or ad buying, you know this tool. It's primarily used by those people. You can do a search for, in fact, I guess I should share my screen here. You can go to trends.google.com and you can search for a term. You see? And it will show you what is the search volume for that term over time. This is the past day, but you could look at the past 12 months, for example. These things go up and down. And then you get sort of related topics and some demographic things and things like that. And so cool, again, if you're buying ads or if you're doing SEO, these things are actually quite valuable, but for anything else, they're not. But meaning you as a human, because you have to search these one at a time. But what this guy did is he searches over 100 terms that are related to Tesla, Tesla's supply chain issues, Tesla, Elon gone crazy. And when you search for all of those terms and you watch their movement over time as a set and analyze it again using AI brain, well, you get an unfair advantage. You get to see what the world is seeing and asking, because that's what they're searching for. And you, again, as a human, you would have never been able to sort of like find that signal. It would have been too expensive of your time. But with AI agents, it's pennies. And so he's got an agent for Tesla. He's got dozens of agents for like other stocks that he trades that simply do this work and give him an unfair advantage. So really powerful. Again, if you're in finance, there's like a couple of random use cases for that. Okay. One more agent I'm going to build quickly, and then I'll take some questions, and then we're going to build some more. Yeah, you guys still with me? Is this a little fun? Is this cool? I mean, you guys haven't left, so I guess like you think there's something here maybe. Okay, listen, part of my job is to entertain you here. So like if I'm not doing a good job, like tell me in chat or something. Okay. Yeah, one last demo. And let's go ahead and do it this way. Check this out. We are, yeah, I'm going to say, I'm going to build this demo here. So I was like, I've got so many ideas of things I want to show you. Which one do I want to show you? That was my little conundrum there that you saw. Okay. I simply made a copy of this TLDR thing, and now it's a copy. So I'm going to make a new agent, but I'm just going to use this as a template. And I'm going to call this agent content to LinkedIn post, generator base. Cool. Again, I haven't changed anything. I just changed the name. Okay. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to change anything about this. I want the first step of this thing that we're building to extract all the learnings, meaning create a list of bullet points, right? That's what the output is of this. You guys saw me run that a couple of times. It comes back with a bunch of like organized bullet points. That's the learnings. Here, we're displaying them to the user, and I'm going to change this to be save to variable. So now we can save these and then continue and do something else. I don't just want to show those things to the user. I want to do something else with them. I can call them anything I want. And so I could call these bullet points. I'm just going to call them learnings because I kind of like to sort of refer to this. But again, this is just a word. You can put any word you want in it. This is just for you to be able to use later. You'll see in a second. So we made a call to a model. We gave it a command, extract all learnings. We gave it all this content we just grabbed from that web page or the YouTube video or the PDF. And we called it. By the way, if you scroll to the bottom, you can change what model you use. We support over 200 models from all the major providers. If you've heard of them, chances are we support them. If you want to switch to a different model, you just say use. And you can do that for every step. So like go, go, go. You like this one? Try that one, etc. I'm just going to stick with this thing. This is my default one. And so now what we have is, again, we got a button. We can click on any website. It's going to grab all that content. We're going to send it to a model, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and then we're going to give it the page content, and it's going to come back with a bunch of bullet points, the extracted learnings, and we've saved them in a variable called learnings. Now we're going to proceed. We're going to click plus again, and we're going to call a model again. Okay, that's why this is called model orchestration. It's like having an orchestra, and you got to put them all together and make them work with one another. Okay, and here what we're going to say is take these learnings. Again, I can say here's some data. You can say whatever you want, and write a LinkedIn post. I also know that it's great to say use emojis. It typically does itself, but I kind of want to. LinkedIn loves emojis. And another thing, this is only because I've done this so many times. I know you should put this in again. With practice comes best practices. I'm going to say return only, my God, I can't type today, only the post and no other text. The reason I'm putting this, by the way, the word return, you could say respond only with the post or give me only the post. Like, again, there's just a way of saying it. It says what you give me back, all I want is the post and no other text, because sometimes the models will say, here's the post you asked me to write. And I don't want that junk. I just want the post. Does that make sense? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yeah? Okay, cool. Okay, so what have we done so far? We created a button that we can click anywhere. It's giving us the page content, whatever's on the page. We're going to call a model to extract all learnings. We're going to store it in this thing called learnings. We're going to go to the next step. We're going to say, take these learnings and write a LinkedIn post about them. Okay, now there's a couple of things here that we need to do. One is we need to actually, for each part of the step, is we need to give these things the data that we've collected. And so again, this is how we do it. Learnings. You can put this at the top. You can put this in the bottom. You could put this in the middle. It doesn't matter. But you have to give to this model this learnings, because even though we just called a model and it came back to us, and now we're calling it again, all of these calls are isolated. It doesn't know anything about prior calls. And so if you need this thing to have some data that this model created, well, you have to provide it this data. And again, this is how we do it. We simply wrap it in some labels. Again, we could say data here. We could say content. Doesn't matter. And then we can say take these things. Also, again, for best practices, if you really want to be fancy, this is how models prefer it. And so we define what learnings is, and then we refer to it here. So it's very clear to the model what we mean. Take what and do what. Okay. And here we're going to say save to variable. And we're going to call this variable post, because that's what this thing is. It's the post, write a LinkedIn post. Then we're going to proceed, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say view all blocks. And there are many different types of blocks that you can use in MindStudio. There's 120 here. There's another 663 here, and there's new ones being added all the time. And again, there are blocks for calling language models and image models and video models and generating charts and analyze. Look through this. There's like countless things here to do all kinds of agents. I'm showing you some random examples, very trivial examples, but extraordinarily powerful. And so I'm just going to look for LinkedIn. We have a block called create LinkedIn post. Now you have to log into LinkedIn to authenticate to it with your account only once. And then it's stored in your workspace and you can just use it in any agent. You can have multiple LinkedIn accounts. And here it says, what should I post to LinkedIn? And again, double curly braces post. And I can choose also the visibility. Okay, does this make sense? Thumbs up so far. Are you guys with me? What we're building here? We're building a button because we said browser extension. There are other types of agents we can build, and we will build, in the next hour and 15 minutes. We'll build other types of agents. This is still a browser extension. We're going to get the page content. That means all the content on the page. And we're going to call a model, say extract all the learnings, and we're going to store it in this variable called learnings. We're going to call another model. We're going to give it the learnings, and we're going to say take these things and write a LinkedIn post. Use emojis. Only give me the post, no other text. And we're going to store that in a variable called post. And then we're going to use this create LinkedIn post block. And we're going to simply use that variable we just created post right here. We're just going to say, go ahead and post that, whatever the response is of the model that's post. Now that's cool, but there's another thing that I've learned, which is before I kind of let an AI agent make a post for me to LinkedIn, maybe I want to sort of like read it and make sure it's not gone crazy, And so I'm going to use something called human in the loop. And so I'm going to click plus here. And there's another type of block here called display content. Now, some people get confused between generate text and display contents because they all kind of look, similar. Well, the difference is generate text calls a model, and this is a prompt that you send it, and it comes back with something. And here we're storing it in a variable. All display content does is displays things to the user that's running the agent right now. It's like a screener form. It's a front end interface. And so it doesn't send anything to a model. It just displays whatever you ask it to display. And then it pauses execution. It stops for the human to read it and then make a choice. And so that's what this thing is. Okay. And so that's it. So again, let's publish this. And let's go ahead and again, let's stay on this thing. Or again, we could do it on any other page. These are just placeholders here for me to find stuff. We're going to run it here again. I'm going to click on the M because we just made this thing. There's that content to LinkedIn. I'm going to click run. It's going to grab all this content and then it's going to call a model. By the way, if we go back here on the left-hand side, there's a thing called debugger. And if we click on this session, we can actually see it running. So you can see like all the things that are happening behind the scenes. See, it started the run, it initialized all of these user variables, it grabbed all that content, this is the metadata, this is all the content from the page, and then, it called a model, and then this is what it sent to the model, and then this is what the model responded with. So these are the learnings, you see? And then it took all of this and it called another model, and we can see how long it took, how much it cost. And then right now it is paused. Now, where is it paused? First of all, you see, this is that post. It's got emojis. It's got the hashtags. And so right now it's paused on this display content block. And again, this human in the loop, so I have to make a choice. In this case, if I say next, it's going to proceed and it's going to post to my LinkedIn. Now, I'm not going to do that. You guys will have to believe me that that works. Better yet, try it for yourself. I just don't want to have to go and delete it and things like that. So like really easy to build these kinds of things. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a bit because I've got many more things to show you, but let's take like 5 minutes of questions. And maybe Luis or Danielle can start and then we can take others.
Can I bring one up, please, Dimitri, about Chrome extension and the ingestion of data from your web page and what is happening with that? What are the protections in place for that? What does downloading the Chrome extension mean for your privacy?
Great question. So MindStudio, if you go to our homepage and if you scroll down a bit, you will see there's a whole section on security and privacy, including this thing we call Trust Center, which again you can go to and see lots of details about our compliances and audits and things like that. There are case studies of privacy. There's this GitHub repository of the Chrome extension. So the Chrome extension is completely open sourced. Okay, and so you or your developers can look at that and understand what it does. All the Chrome extension does is allows, again, you, the user, to be able to.
Dimitri, are you sharing? Are you trying to share your screen?
I was.
Because you're not.
Okay. And that's how I look like a fool. That's all right. I don't mind looking like a fool.
Ever.
Yeah, I wear it proudly. At the bottom of our homepage is the Security and Privacy Center. You can click here to go to this thing called Trust Center. Lots of data about our compliances. And then, as I mentioned, the Chrome extension is open sourced. Your security team can look at this and see what it does. All the extension does is displays this thing on the right-hand side that you can configure that allows you to, in a sense, kind of bookmark AI agents to be able to be available to you at any time. And then when you click the button, only when you click a button, what this Chrome extension does is it grabs the content on the page and then sends it directly to your agent, encrypted. And that's it. That's all the Chrome extension does. And so it's completely in your control. It's simply a way, it's almost like an automatic copy and paste. Right? Instead of you having to copy it, open up a new tab and go to some place and like paste it, this makes it easy to be able to do that. That's extremely convenient. And in that convenience comes huge unlock of usability and use cases that wouldn't make sense. So like manually copying and pasting. Anyway, that's that. Again, we sit in a lot of environments. His Majesty's Revenue and Customs uses it in HR, and New York Times is a big customer. Lots of companies that are extraordinarily security and privacy and compliance sensitive. We pass with flying colors, so you should be able to feel good about it. Okay. Danielle, was there another question?
Folks are wondering about, okay, some of the agents that you've built, is there a marketplace of these agents? How can they start using some of these today?
There is a thing called an agent store, but it's not a marketplace. But let me show you how to get to it. You just say My Workspace, and then on the left-hand side here, you've got this thing that says Agents. See, we've been clicking on this Build New Agent button. I'm going to click this Agents button. And this shows you all of your agents. These are this workspace I have here called Dimitri Demo. These are my agents here, 288 more. These are agents that I've starred. As I showed you, you can click on a little button and star them. That means they'll show up as like your favorites here. You can also pin them, and then they show up on the right-hand side here, and you can kind of collapse them. And then really when you start, all you get is this thing right here. This is over 100 AI agents that we've built, or some people in our community have built as well, that you can just start looking at and using, right? Like this agent allows you to take some recording of like a webinar and automatically convert it to a bunch of social posts. And so you can run this agent, or you can simply click here and make a copy of it. And then you get basically your own copy of this. And now you can simply modify the copy to do what you want it to do and then republish it. So it becomes a template. So not only are these agents you can just use, again, go to agents over here, but each one of these agents is also a template, like this deep researcher. This one's a really sophisticated agent. As I showed you, these agents can have multiple workflows. This thing has a bunch of workflows. This is the main workflow. And now this is our copy. And so one, we can learn from it. We can look at like what it does. And we can, by the way, none of this stuff is really hard. Like this isn't code. It looks like code, but again, these are labels. So once you understand these are labels, this comes very quickly. Again, in our boot camp that we teach, in the first half day, everybody understands this stuff here. And then you can actually just modify this. You might not have been able to build it, but you can certainly go through it and modify it to do what you want it to do. And then republish it, and now you've gone. So this is a templating capability we've got built into MindStudio.
If I can share two more questions, let's keep running. Lots of questions from folks of, can I connect this to WhatsApp? Can I have this do some analysis on some Excel documents? Can I connect to all these different systems? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, you can connect to any system that is connectable to. Okay, and all the systems you mentioned are connectable to. They have, and so again, built into MindStudio, if I, again, create a new agent, I say plus, view all blocks. These are integrations to various types of models. There are other integrations here to all kinds of other services like YouTube or Instagram or Meta or, X, etc., to various Google services, sending email, sending SMS, Slack. This is something called Hunter.io and many others. And then again, many other things, ActiveCampaign, Airtable, Apollo, Beehive, Calendly, blah, blah, blah. And if it's not integrated to something you want, there's a little button, request a connector. You give us your name, your email address, and what do you want. And typically later that day, that thing shows up. And so thank you for reminding us that somebody else cares about. That's how and so these things are really easy we either have them or they're really easy to get. And then again, there's other ways where you can yourself do it. And again, now with ChatGPT or Claude, even if you don't know how to write any code, you just need to ask them to write you a custom function or an HTTP request, basically to call any kind of API and be able to give it headers and parameters. So like you yourself, even if you're a complete novice, in 5 minutes can make a connector that connects to anything.
Hello?
And vice versa. You can make things where those systems use MindStudio and connect to us. So both ways work. Okay, Danielle?
Yeah, last one.
Last one.
I just wanted if you could talk a little bit, Dimitri, about how is this different from other tools that are out there?
Yeah, well, kind of as I mentioned, the tool that we get compared to overwhelmingly is N8N. The other ones are, again, kind of a matrix here, right here, are, Make and Zapier. And then kind of these are called robotic process automation. Oh,
If you want to share
not
that.
sharing. And Zoom should be smarter at being able
I
to
know,
to do this. Or no, maybe the user should be smarter at being able to do it. Okay, so on our homepage, um, there's this matrix, right? And so we overwhelmingly, like 9 out of 10 times, get compared to N8N, the other kind of 10% to Make Zapier and things like UiPath and Blue Prism and Automate Anywhere. So, and again, kind of the consensus is this: if you've used platforms like these, you'll find MindStudio easier to learn and use, faster to build, and more instrumented for building specifically AI workflows. We are AI native. All of these companies are older than we are. They've bolted on AI capabilities. N8N has done the best job of bolting on AI capabilities. And they do all kinds of other things that have nothing to do with AI. We do no other things that have nothing to do with AI. We are AI centric. If you're building AI powered automations, we're just better instrumented to let you build these things than they are, and much easier. There are lots of people online. This is, I think, my favorite. I'll let you quickly read this. I just built 6 complex AI workflows with N8N to supercharge my business. 24 hours later, here's the final result. 6 completely broken workflows, a horribly damaged ego, 24 hours I'll never get back, 0 business efficiencies gained. Okay. And so when these people show up to MindStudio, what they tend to find, compared to platforms like N8N, Make, and Zapier, this is a VC, not one of our VCs, just a random VC. This thing is 100 times easier to use. Simple, cleaner UI built for users of any background. I've spent 95% less time debugging errors. It actually works without making me want to pull my hair out. So this is the kind of thing, this is a general consensus. N8N is like Linux. MindStudio is like Windows or Mac. They're the same thing. They're all operating systems, or they're all workflow builders. One is super nerdy, requires more configuration. That's N8N. MindStudio is the simpler version. There's a guy here named Justin Brook who literally in this video says it's the easy version of N8N. Okay. It's not less powerful, similar powerful. Some would argue maybe even more powerful in certain dimensions, but it's the easy version of N8N. So that's how the comparison is. If you're looking at these platforms, that's what you should compare us to. Cool. Okay, let's build some more agents. And then again, I'll do like 15 minutes of agent building, and I'll take some more questions. Yeah, you guys still with me? All right, yeah, cool, thanks. Okay, so as I mentioned to you, in fact, you can see it on our website right here, build all kinds of AI agents. So far, all we've built are these browser extension AI agents, but there are many other kinds of AI agents. What we're about to build is an AI agent, or maybe a few AI agents, that are these AI-powered web applications. These are agents for humans to use in their web applications. They're like desktop or mobile apps. They have screens and forms. And so you can easily, without writing code in minutes, build applications that have screens and forms. Okay. And so we're going to build some of those. You can also build agents that have no front-end interfaces, that are just backends, and they just run on a schedule, for example. Yeah, these are very powerful. Lots of people use these. Or again, that are email triggered, where you can simply make it respond to an email. Again, to build one of these things, you can build it in 3 minutes. And now you've got an agent that can take anything you send it and analyze it for, what are action items for me? What are action items for other people? Expand on all of this stuff. This is trivially easy to do. All you do in order to build that is, again, let me just quickly show you, is you build it the same way as you built like these other agents that are the browser extension agents, but all you do is just change this. As soon as you say email, it says, great, I'm going to give you who it's from, what's the subject, what's in all the messages, even in the long threads, and here are all the attachments. And I'm going to store that in these variables that you can just use later. And then here's the custom email address. And so just add this to your like contact list, call it Bob or Sue or whatever. And whenever you want to trigger that and give Bob or Sue this giant, it happens to me. I get these like giant threads where my brain melts. I'm like, I can't keep track of what we're even talking about here. This thing's been going on forever. I just lob it to an agent and it says, I got you. I'll unpack it all for you. There's nothing for you to do. Don't worry. Here's the things you should be aware of. The value is like insane. Okay, that's just like changing this to email. That's it. Okay. But we're not going to build one of those. Next, we're going to build one of these. And then also you can build agents that are driven programmatically by, in fact, lots of people integrate us with Zapier, Make, and N because they might already be running those systems. And then they realize, oh crap, MindStudio is actually better for these AI things. And so I'm just going to start making AI things in MindStudio and using them as like components in my zaps and my make scenarios and all. And so that's a common pattern too. Okay, so let's make one of these things. First, I'm going to say my workspace. I'm going to say build new agent. And we're going to call this new agent blog post generator. I'm going to close this. On start, I'm going to leave this to be on demand. This is the default, on demand. I'm just leaving this. I'm going to click plus. And so what we want to create are some screens with some form fields, yeah? To be able to ask the user what's the topic of the blog post that we're going to write about, in what style might we want to write it, and how long should it be. That's the simple little generator I'm going to show you here. To do that, we use something called user inputs. Kind of as it sounds, it's input output for user. So I'm going to click plus here. I could also have clicked here, hovered over here, click plus, but I like doing it here. Plus user input, okay? And now I'm going to, on the right-hand side here, say plus, we don't have any user inputs now, and create new. Again, user inputs are front-end interfaces. They're UI for people. There can be long text, there can be short text, there can be text multiple choice, a bunch of text multiple choices, image multiple choices, ratings, file upload, video upload, image. You get the point. There's a bunch of these things. Here, we're just going to say long text. And then we're going to say, what should the blog post be about? And then I'm going to call it something. We're going to give it a variable. Once somebody types that in, it's going to be stored in a variable. I'm going to call that variable topic. You could call it anything you want. I'm going to close this. Now we have one user input. I can then say plus, and I can add another user input. And this one, I'm going to make short text. And this one, I'm going to say in what style. And I'm going to call this style. And I'm going to close this. And I'm going to add one last user input. I'm going to say create new. I'm going to use short text. And I'm going to say how many words. And then here, I'm going to say num words. Again, you can call it anything you want. Words, length, it doesn't matter, just for you. Okay. And so we've created these variables now. We have them here, topic, style, num words, and they exist and they're going to be shown to the user. In fact, if we simply said publish, or I can do it this way to preview, open draft agent, open draft agent, there you go. And there are forms, you see, what should the blog post be about and what style, how many words, right? And if I typed something in here and push next, it's going to say, yep, you did it. Congrats. Why? Because it just ends. We didn't say anything to do with it. Okay. And so here, I'm going to expand this out. And now we've got this data. We've got the user entering the topic, the style, and the number of words. And so I can just say plus, and I can call a model again, you see? And then here, I can say to it, write a blog post about this. See? But about what? Remember what we do? We need to give this thing all of those variables. And so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say style. And here I'm going to use double curly braces. I'm going to do style. Okay? And then I'm going to say topic. And then I'm going to end topic. And then in here, double curly braces, topic. Now I'm indenting these things here. It doesn't matter if you indent them, if you don't indent them, you can put them on one line. None of that matters. This is the way I like to do it. Also, don't worry about that this is a different color. Periodically, this happens. It's just a weird artifact. And then finally, number of words, right? And I can say number of words. Again, I could call it num words or length. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to be literal because, again, the model gets to see this. And here, I'm just going to say this num words thing. Okay, so now I've given it all of this data, and I gave it a command, write a blog post about this. By the way, it doesn't matter where these things live. You could put them below this. You could spread them out. It doesn't matter. Because they're all labeled like this, everything works. We like to put them on top because then you can always see like what you're passing in of variables on top, and then below that, you get the command. Okay, and here we're gonna, well, yeah, we can just display this back to the user for now. That's fine. And then we can say publish. And now we can open this agent. And then I'm going to say, you know, how AI will transform work. In what style, Gary V. Everybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Show of hands. Everybody know what he sounds like? He's got kind of like a special style of communicating. And so I use him. And whatever, how many words? 1,000. See, and then we say next. And this thing is going to call a model. It's going to give it, and here we go. How AI will transform work. Listen, I've been saying this for years. I'll say it again. This is the way that Gary tends to talk. And we get this blog post. And, you know, that's pretty cool that we were able to create an application. And again, this application, if we like do a new run, is responsive. So it works on mobile, it works on desktop. You can add it to your home screen. So you got a button if you want to generate posts on the fly. You can do that. You can wrap this in a native wrapper and send it to the App Store. You can embed this in your website. We allow the embedding, iframe embedding of these things in your website. If you go here, embedding, you can just grab this iframe, or you can do a better version of embedding using something called signed URLs. And you get that. That's really powerful. By the way, there's many other things you can do. Let me quickly do one more because we've got time here. So we're going to stay with this, and let's take a look at that. Wait, we saw the blog post that was generated. That blog post, all it was a blog post. The model chose what we mean by a blog post. But what if we want it to be more prescriptive? And so we could give it a template, right? We could say template, or we could say sample, or we could say example, or, you know, we could do whatever. We don't have to say that. We can do it this because it understands. This is best practice to use these square brackets, but you don't have to. You could do it in this way or just write sentences, but you will see me using these square brackets. By the way, let me make this full screen, and let's make this a bit bigger so we can kind of see what I'm writing here. And I'm going to create a template for the blog post that I want. And so I'm going to say provocative title. Then I want a funny subtitle. And then I want a one paragraph TLDR. And then I want main point. And then I want 3 times subpoint point, right? And then I want that over and over again. And then I want a conclusion with a call to action. What the hell is this? Right? What am I writing here? Well, again, this is prompt engineering. Okay. And again, you can learn this on your own. We teach this in our boot camps, which is that you can give these models all of this content that gets injected via these variables where we collect this from the user. We stick it in these little bundles of data. We give it a command, write a blog post about this, and we give it a template of what do we want. And we're giving additional instructions of how to write the blog post. In this case, we want the provocative title. We want the funny subtitle. By the way, we can add other things in here. We can add, using this thing called Markdown, we can add formatting, where we can say, this is that way. And these things are, you know, italic. I think this is italic. And so like this is formatting. And again, now if we publish this thing and we run it, we could say ice cream, because I want to be provocative title. I want to see Gary V. And how many words? 1,000. Again, this, what does it mean? Write a blog post about ice cream, but let's see what this thing writes. We're just looking for this thing. Ice cream hustle, while you're leaving millions on the table with every scoop. Well, that's provocative. That's also Gary V. Your grandma's favorite dessert is actually a masterclass in business strategy. I don't think this is really funny, but whatever, it said it's funny. There's that one paragraph TLDR. There's the H1. And then there are these bullet points. I think I did my markdown wrong. I should brush up on that. But again, there's lots of things you can do in understanding how to prompt models, because that's what you're doing here with these blocks, right? You're calling models. By the way, another thing we could do as we're doing this is, and so we could take this and instead of displaying it to the user, we could save it to a variable. And then we could call this variable post. That's the blog post. Watch this just to like kind of create a Frankenstein a little bit, but I think should be instructive. I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to call a model, and I'm going to give it this post. Okay. And then I'm going to say, write an image model prompt to generate a cover image for this blog post. Okay. And again, here it's best practices to make it clear that this is the post and this is the post. Yeah. Again, I like to indent these. And so write an image model prompt. And so I'm asking the model to write, here's the post I have. Now imagine what might be the image that I might want to put on top of that, and go ahead and write me the prompt for an image model to do that. And here I can just save this variable and call this, you know, image prompt. And then I can click plus, and I could use a generate image block. And again, you can also generate video and other things like that, but generate image block. And here I simply give it what? The prompt, right? Oh, sorry, I called it image prompt. Image prompt. Okay, yeah, image prompt. Yeah, image prompt. And so I'm just giving it the image prompt. And here, the output of the model is going to be the image. But the way we get the image is we get the URL. And so I'm just going to call this image URL. So this will be the URL to the image. We're going to use, in this case, we get to pick what model we use from whatever providers we want to use, right? And so, sure, I'll leave it at this, but you know, you can change the model. And then you can move on, and like you could display that then, you know, and you could use the display content block. And like I'm just going to display the URL to the image, but you could actually display the image and display the blog post and do all that stuff. But I want you to see what comes back. And that is this image URL that we get back. And so this thing is going to generate the blog post. We're not actually going to see the blog post. We're just going to continue. And then the output of this should be an image that would be the cover image for this blog post. And again, I'll do ice cream and then style Gary V, and then 1,000 words. And this thing is going to run through. And again, we're going to just watch it in our debugger so we can kind of see what's going on. It got the user input. See, it said setting topic, the variable topic to ice cream, setting the variable style to Gary V, setting number of words to 1,000. It's running the first model, and that model is writing the blog post, right? Remember, in our main flow, we're first, come on, computer. We are first writing the blog post right here. Then we move on, and we're going to write the prompt. And so it should be here writing the prompt. And it's still writing the post. Okay, done. And so there's the post. And now it's created the prompt. Ice cream hustle cover, a highly energy vibrant image of luxury ice cream cone. It's now calling the image model, and it came back for us with a link. And this is the ice cream hustle thing it generated. So all we said was ice cream. It created the Gary V ice cream hustle idea. And then it created this, like I'm impressed. This is a pretty awesome image here of ice cream hustle wrapped in $100 bill. It's awesome. Okay, done here with this for a moment. Let me quickly show you a couple of agents that I have that will be valuable agents for you to have too. So as I mentioned, 9 out of 10 times we get compared to this company N8N. And so in a sense, this is our competitor. Now we kind of don't care about it. We don't, we're excited they're competing. We don't really pay much attention, but I have an agent here that monitors their terms of service. And so it starts on a scheduled basis. It uses this track website changes block. This is one of our blocks in our thing. And it tracks this URL right here, the N8N legal self-serve terms. Because when companies create meaningful things, they change their terms of service. And so if this thing changes, well, there might be interesting stuff there for me to gather of what they're about to release. And all this thing does is on a schedule goes and loads this URL and compares it to the last time that it loaded this URL. And if there are changes, then it analyzes those changes and sends me an email with analysis. If there are no changes, it just finishes until the next time it runs. And so this ability to like monitor something, you remember Google Trends that the day trader was monitoring, or LinkedIn posts, or Twitter search, or YouTube search, or kind of like Google alerts on AI gigasteroids, where you can now create these crazy things that just like monitor the world that you care about and analyze it. And if there's something there that's relevant to you, nudge you with it. And if there's not, you never ever have to think about that again. Like you free up big chunks of your reserved mental energy of like, I gotta remember to keep an eye on this. No, you don't. That should never be the case. That you say, I have to remember to keep an eye on something. As soon as you hear your inner voice saying that, stop, build an agent to do that. That does not make any sense for humans to do. And this thing does it in an amazing way. So again, you can make a copy of it, and all you have to do to monitor something else is just change this thing and publish it. And so that company I told you, Advanced Local, that has, well, I may not have told you about this, but there's a company called Advanced Local. It's got over 300 of these MindStudio AI agents running. Dozens of them are agents like this. It's a newspaper publishing company. And so they monitor the legal industry. They monitor various industries and analyze them of what's changing there in the last 24 hours so their journalists can write about it. Where it used to be journalists had to do all that monitoring and searching and analyzing. That's a waste of their time and mental energy. Now AI agents do that. By the way, all of those built by one person there, non-technical person. His name is David Cohn. Okay, one last thing I want to show you here quickly before I take questions is this thing here. So I have 5 kids. The oldest is 11. This is my 9-year-old. Her name is Una. That's her. Una loves slime. It's like silly putty stuff to play with. She loves it, and she loves making it even more. And so this is Una and one of her sisters making slime here. And so Una makes her own slime, and this is what she's got, a top-down camera, and she records it. And this is what her desktop looks like. It's got like this light reflection here because it's like a piece of glass, and it's kind of like this dirty marble-ish thing at the bottom, and she does it. So while Una loves making slime, Una doesn't necessarily love making slime ads. And so I built an AI agent that conceives, I don't know if you can hear sound here in the ASMR. So this is Una's background, but this is not slime that Una conceptualized. This slime was conceptualized by an AI, which then wrote a video script, prompt, video model prompt to generate a video using this background, which is Una's background. That's Una's light. and you can see the reflections. You see the reflections are happening. That's not a real light. That's a picture of a light here. Okay. And so let me show you this agent. This is like a dumb easy agent to make, but it's absurdly powerful. It generates these, again, amazing videos. If you hired somebody to generate these videos, it would take forever. You'd have to do the slime. This look generates all that. Okay, I'm going to click build, and then I'm going to look for, slime, Una slime gen. And let me show you how this agent works. The first thing it does is it calls a model. We've used this block before. And again, here it says create a text to video prompt. Let me open it up in bigger screen, make it a bit bigger here. Create a text to video prompt for a unique slime by randomly combining elements from each category below. Each prompt should follow this structure: shot type, slime description, action sequence, special effects details, visual style, technical specs. And then it says, here are the shot types to choose from. Here are the base slimes to choose from. Here are the colors, pick 1 to 3. By the way, I did not write this prompt. This prompt was written automatically because I haven't shown this to you yet, but when you click plus and you say generate text, you can click this to open this up. There's a button here called generate, where MindStudio can generate the prompt for you. So you didn't even have to write the prompt. And I just said, you know, conceptualize a slime and write a video model prompt to render a video of, you know, the slime being made top-down shot. That's all I wrote. And it wrote this, you know, sophisticated prompt that's here for me. So it has a prompt to generate, to generate the slime. And then it simply saves that to a variable called prompt. It then calls a video model, in this case, VO3, with duration of 8 seconds. It says include audio. So it created that ASMR sound as well. What's the aspect ratio? And then it gave it this reference image, meaning I gave it this reference image. And this is just a screenshot of one of Una's real videos. Those are Una's hands. That's Una's slime. That's Una's desktop. And I just give this to the video model as a reference image. I give it the prompt that was generated by this other block, and that's it. And then it comes back with the generated video that gets stored in a variable called video URL. I also call a model to generate the name of the slime and the description of the slime. And then I save all of that in a Google Sheet. Now, I could have actually made it so it posts automatically to Instagram and TikTok, but Una wants to be in control of it. And so she chooses like the audio and like the order. And so here, each one of these things was generated by a run of that thing. It actually generates 7 at a time, because 7 times 8, just under a minute. And so this is what you get back. This whole thing was conceived of by AI, and all of the sound and all of this video thing and putting in this thing was all created by this tiny little workflow. Like, what is this? This took me less than 15 minutes to make this. Had AI generate the prompt. I just gave the prompt to the video model. I said to the video model, here's the prompt. So I use the prompt and say, here's the prompt, and now generate the name of what would you call this and the description of it. And then I save it to Google Sheets. And then Una looks at the Google Sheets. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a minute. Does that make sense? Okay. And again, what I'm showing you here, none of this is the thing. These are all a bunch of random examples of some things you can make with MindStudio. Are these the best examples? Not even close. There's no such thing as the best examples. Some AI agents have many workflows and many steps. Some have one button, one button and one block of like analyze this, but that's the big time saver. It's not about how complex the agent is. It's actually about like, what does it do and what's the ROI of it doing that? Like, what's the value for you? And what you find is that actually most things that will give you your freedom back, your brain capacity back, your energy back, those things are going to be trivial little bitty buttons or automations that run. They're not going to be these complex things at all. Okay, Danielle, do we have more questions?
Yeah, a lot of folks were getting excited about this and asking questions about, okay, how are these variables stored? Is there memory? Is there retention? Definitely something we cover a lot in our boot camps and in our docs. So maybe you could just touch on this a little bit, Dimitri.
Definitely. Great question, by the way. There are many times that your agents need either access to data or to be able to store data, right? And we make both of those things really easy. When you are storing data, let's start there first. We've been talking about these things called variables, right? These double curly braces and a word inside. That's a variable. We call those variables runtime variables. Let me actually share my screen here just so we get some visuals. We call those variables runtime variables. Those variables only exist when the agent is running. And as soon as the agent finishes running, those variables don't exist anymore until the next time the agent starts running and they get created. And we refer to those variables again in these double curly braces. So this is a runtime variable analysis. But if I look at this block has something that looks kind of similar, except it's got this global dot in front of it. There are also variables called global variables, and we refer to them by simply saying global dot and the name of the variable. These global variables are long-lasting variables. They last across runs. And so in this case, this variable, we store the scrape results in it. And that variable is going to be around with the snapshot of those scrape results the next time this thing runs. And those are going to be known as previous results. And we can then compare them to compare the previous results and the new results. You see, there's that global scrape results, okay? And so this is how you do global variables, long lasting. There's also something called user.scrape, or like user dot in the variable name. And those are kind of global variables, but that are scoped to each user. So each user has their own set of variables, where in this case, this agent, now if you're the only user of this agent, it doesn't matter. But if you have many different people on your team using the agent, well, those user variables are scoped to them, and so they get their own state of any of these things. So it's like storing of data at, as variables at runtime and across runs, either on an agent per agent basis or a per user basis. The other place where there's data is getting data kind of into your agent. And so again, let's start new agent. And so there's a couple of ways we can get data into our agent. One is there are these things here called data sources. And so we could click plus. It allows us to give it a name, a description, and then upload files from our computer. We can upload 150 files at a time per data source, and you can create many data sources. And they can be up to 5 million words, so giant reams and reams of data. You just upload them. As soon as you do, these things get stored in a vector database and then are made available to do something called retrieval augmented generation, RAG. Has anyone heard of RAG? Show of hands. Okay. It's a thing in AI. You don't need to know what it means. We make it dumb easy to use. You don't need to know what it stands for, but you can actually take advantage of it. That's one way to get data in. Other ways to get data in, for example, would be as a scrape URL block. Let's say I wanted my agent to always, when it's running, when it gets started, to go hit my website, this web page here. And that web page we always keep updated with kind of the latest news about the company. And so every time this agent's going to run, it's going to go and grab that data from that web page, store it in a variable, and then I could then go and do something with it. Like write a summary to send to our newsletter of what's the news for the week, you see? And so this thing, whenever it runs, could run automatically. So we could set this thing to run automatically at the end of the week. It could look at our news section on our website where we post all the things that have happened this week. And then it could grab that, and then we could send it to a model and say, analyze this and write a newsletter. And then we could say, send an email. See? And so this is a really powerful way to be able to grab data in real time from places on the internet, your own website or something else, and do that. And then there's actually many other ways. In fact, we have an entire section of blocks called Get Data. And there's that scrape URL. We've already seen user input. There's something called user context, which allows the agent to interview the user in like a question answer way, to disambiguate, mostly used for that, or get more data. You can, again, query various types of databases, relational, document, vector, etc. You can do HTTP requests, meaning call an API or a webhook to do that. This thing is crazy right here, this deep research. You literally give it, again, a topic, a query, a request, and this thing is a professional Google searcher. It will take that and it will then generate a whole bunch of queries. Like it's a master Google query generator. It will generate a bunch of Google queries. It then goes and runs for each query. It makes the query, it gets the search result, it crawls all those search results and gets the data. And for every search result. And then it runs the next query and gets the results and goes crawls the data and gets all this reams and reams of data. And then it puts it in a variable. And you can then take that data and you can send it to a model and analyze it. So if if you're about to partner with a company and you want to understand, is this a good company? Is this a bad company? Where are all the warts? Well, there's no need for humans to go and like look for needles in haystacks. That's silly amateur stuff. You, you have this thing that can do it at scale, go and do it. And so now like doing any kind of deep research programmatically is, again, it's hard to, even though, again, I've like seen so many obviously already implementations of this and all, and I've had months to process this, I still kind of get tripped up on the profound power, the new profound capability of being able to consume the web and search the web at scale effortlessly for pennies. And what that means. The competitive advantage that you get, that you can understand the customer that's coming in to talk to you before your sales call. You can know more about that customer than their employees know about the company because you've got superpowers and your superpowers extracted all of that. See, you can have a proposal written for them that makes it clear that you guys were meant to be together, fit like a glove, just like that resume thing I showed you. And you can do that with a click of a button. See, and countless other things. And again, so like that kind of that kind of capability. That's why I have no better word for these things than superpowers, because no mere mortal could possibly compete with that. Okay, Danielle?
Yes, I have a really fun question from Nicole. She asked, what does the MindStudio team, like what kind of agents do we love using? And I thought it'd be cool if you showed some of the features in our platform that there's MindStudio agents on the background powering. I think it'd be cool for folks to see. Plus,
Sure. Yeah,
there's also some questions about using a prompt to build an agent. So maybe that could be a segue as well.
Sure, thanks. So there are a bunch of places in MindStudio where we have used MindStudio to build some capability and then integrated it into MindStudio as a feature. One of those places is right here on the automations tab, this like main tab we've been working with. Down at the bottom left, if I say generate agent, this opens up a new tab, and there's a thing called MindStudio Architect V2. There was also a V1. This is just a MindStudio AI agent. It was built with MindStudio, but now it is a feature inside of MindStudio. And what this does is it allows you to, in human language, describe the agent that you're trying to build and what you want it to do. And then it will ask you a bunch of questions to disambiguate. And then it will go ahead and put all of the components on the screen for you and configure it. It will build the agent for you. You didn't even need to add the blocks. It will build the plan, it will build the agent, and it'll build it for you. Now, we intentionally teach people to do things manually because once it builds it, you might want to modify things. It's hard to explain in human language all the things you want. It's much easier to then just go in and fix it, and do it. And so this is like one place this thing is super powerful of where you can do that. That's really powerful. Another place you can do that is, again, in these, as I showed you, this is like call a language model. We've been using this. If you click here to open it up full screen, down at the bottom here, there's this generate prompt. And you remember analysis on a stock. And so this is a terrible prompt. What does this mean to a fundamental analysis? But I can type that in, and this thing will go and use its resources to think about it and give me a much better prompt. And I could then take it and like edit it, modify it, that like it helps me think through what I want it to do. What are the nuances that I want to, what are the guardrails I want to put in place? If I had to do that manually and type it, would that take a long time? But now analyze the provided stock by conducting comprehensive financial analysis. Like here are the key things. Now I'm like, oh, actually, I don't want, these things, or I want something else. Again, I can modify this to my heart's delight. And I got that by simply, so like, look at these like bottom left areas here. Another place this exists, we haven't talked about this, is even though MindStudio is a no-code platform, we do support code. And we support these runtime environments. They're called for JavaScript and Python. And also like in this like sandbox that's mega fast. This thing is crazy fast, to this like virtual machine, which is like average speed. And so you can write code yourself, or you can just have the AI model generate the code you want. And so you describe what you want the function to do, hit generate, and it will write the code for you and put it in here. This is another place. Another big place for this, again, there's actually many places. I won't get to all of them. Another big place for this is in this thing we call the generate asset block. And a generate asset block allows us, again, we teach people how to use this. It's a really sophisticated block. It's really easy to learn, but like I'm not going to teach it to you here. But it's got this capability of basically vibe coding completely custom interfaces of what's the output of the AI model. It doesn't always have to be text that's formatted with thing. It can be anything. It can be interactive, screens. It could be moving gamey things. It could be pixel perfect sales collaterals that are print worthy. And you can just create them here simply by talking back and forth to this. This also exists in user inputs. So like a bunch of places for this type of stuff. Again, what you've seen here today is 5% of MindStudio. By the way, that 5% already makes you, I propose to you that you are now infinitely more capable than any of your peers. Okay, anyone that doesn't know how to build these simple little buttons that automate these things, well, those people couldn't possibly compete with you. Even if you never learned any of these other features and all you built were little buttons that had one command and gave it page content for your own workflow or your peers, one, you get promoted in your company. We've seen this kind of over and over again. When your bosses realize that you've got this new skill, they're going to say, listen, you're much more valuable than whatever job you're doing here. Please come help me automate a bunch of different job functions in there. So you get that. If you're looking for a job, actually recorded, maybe Danielle or somebody could find it, a 1 hour webinar with 2 people that used MindStudio to get jobs. One is a venture capitalist. She didn't have an offer for 6 months until she showed a recruiter, no, not a recruiter, but an interviewing manager, the agents that she built. Instant, first instant job offer from that. Or another guy who's trying to find a job as a tech writer. Nothing, kind of middle-aged tech writer. Now he's a master AI agent builder. He's got 3 gigs, with with more being thrown at him, overwhelmed by work. Okay, so if you're looking for a job, I don't know of like any more valuable thing to do than level up. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care if you're in marketing or sales or ops or whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a ginormous need in every company to transform itself into a more efficient, excuse me, into a more efficient, more autonomous, more intelligent thing, to transform every job function in every company. They all need it. None of them know how to do it. You now know how to do it. You have the beginnings of being able to do it. You can become proficient. Again, a couple of days, couple of weeks. Some people take longer, but it's not a lot of time. You can do it completely on your own, just on our website, watching tutorials, or on YouTube. If you want more interactive stuff, if that's a better way you learn, come to our boot camps. This is, in a sense, kind of the first 2 hours of the 2-day boot camp. Yeah, next cohort. We do these every couple of weeks, so you can always catch one. Next one starting tomorrow for 2 days. And then we dig deeper. So imagine this, but times 8, I guess. It's a bit like drinking from a fire hose, but you come out AI ninja. Okay, more questions, Daniel?
Lots of messages, DMs on the side about, hey, I'm loving this, where to go next. I want to talk to other people about this. I want to learn more. I want to partner with you guys. Like, how should people navigate where to go from here?
So there's a couple of things that you should do. And again, Danielle could help post. We have a community, a Slack that you can join, and there are a bunch of people in that Slack, people who have gone through boot camps, people who are going through boot camps, people who've come to these things that are on their learning journey and on their working journey. You can network with them. It's a really friendly, really supportive community. You can do that. You can, again, dedicate some time. That's really the biggest thing, is now that you know, and if you find this as fascinating as I do, and, again, I think like clearly profoundly valuable as I do, then what you need to do is you need to level up your skills. You need to spend some time. And the place you can spend some time, again, there's like 2 primary places that you can do that. One is in what we call MindStudio University, right here, Learn. And there are a bunch of these YouTube tutorials. They're also on our YouTube channel, okay? And there's also this thing here called documentation that gives you kind of step-by-step ways of building these AI agents. We go through like writing prompts and AI models and variables and how to design interfaces and working with structured data and all that stuff. So you can allocate some time, watch these videos, read this documentation, and play. Try building some things. Start with that one block, first thing I showed you, the browser agent, the extension agent. Okay, so you can do this on your own, just find time. The other thing you can do is you can, and I'm sure Danielle sent the link to this, we call this MindStudio Academy. And MindStudio Academy are these cohorts of trainings that we do like this. Again, you're getting sort of like the 2-hour version of this. There's also a 2-day version, 2 full days, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We take breaks, we do projects, but you build 10 agents in 2 days, and you can do that. Again, this is always awesome just to see like all of these like folks that have gone through the boot camp and them kind of raving about us. This is like Sifu post on LinkedIn. It's again lots of like interesting names and these people expressing just how valuable it's been to them. So like you can do that. And then the Slack, and like those are the places to go. And then again, go play. This is just anyone can do it, and meaning all of you can do it. Whatever doubt you may have, where you're like, oh, I'm not technical and I never learned to use Photoshop. I could never learn to use Photoshop. I don't have the attention span for that. So I've never been able to do it. I've struggled with lots of things where I'm like, I can't grok that. You can grok this. This is quite simple. Mostly figuring out what blocks to put there and writing things. You can even misspell everything. My 11-year-old son is still not very good at spelling, but he's a master AI agent builder. And so like when his teachers will talk about some things, he's the one that corrects them. on things. So like, oh, I built an agent the other day that actually does it this way, and like this, and they're like, actually, you're right. It's a bit of a smarty pants. And so you can do it. He can do it. You can do it. Yeah. Okay, Daniel.
Those
Or
are those are about the ones that I was able to see. If we miss any questions, let us know, folks. But just to recap some of the next steps, Dimitri shared, and all the links are in the Slack in the chat right now, but we'll post them again. Join us on Slack. Check out our self-paced tutorials on MindStudio University. And if you want to spend a couple days with us live, we'll teach you everything you need to know, and that's through our boot camps.
And oh, well, there's one more thing we do for those of you that are inside of companies. You work for a company. We do team trainings, and so if you've got a company, and we try to keep it like 20 people or above, and you've got a team that's 20 people or above, or a company 20 people or above, and you want us to give you a custom training, we do kind of 2-hour, half day, 1 day, 2 day training for companies. And we tailor that based upon like what the job functions are, companies, etc. All right, guys. Well, again, I'm happy to, if anybody's got a question, just want to get on stage and ask or make comments. We have 13 minutes, and I don't need to run. So I see John Korf, so you need to unmute yourself, John. And you can also, for those others, you can use this React capability and the raise hand thing that I showed you like that. And so you can kind of get in line by raising your hand. Okay, John.
About RAG databases. I'd heard about them for quite a while ago. And what I started doing, I in fact picked up a special scanner, scanned my books into my hard drive. I got most of my library into it right now, a lot of it, not all of it, but I want to turn it into a RAG database. And I've never, well, because I've been sidetracked with so many other things, and I'm traveling on the road right now. I'm no longer in Canada. I left Canada behind. I don't believe in communism, so I'm on my way to Costa Rica.
Okay, watch out for the rebels. The communist rebels. No, I'm just joking. Sorry. So, John, you want to take your books and you want them to be agentic. You want an agent to be able to answer questions about the books, use the knowledge in the books, write like the books. Yes?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I've got a vast library. Most is personal development.
Yeah.
But
so it's really easy to do, John.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like it's really straightforward to do. You can go to our university. It's free. Go find the section on RAG. Just follow those instructions. You will be up and running in whatever, less than 30 minutes. And
okay,
you're good to go. That's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I've got them all on a hard drive now. It's just a case of making them agentic, and then
That's it.
Away we go.
Away we go. People have done that. Lots of authors have done that. So that totally makes sense. Or collectors or whatever. Oh, also, Costa Rica is awesome. So enjoy Costa Rica.
Well, I intend to. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm in El Paso right now, en route to, but I'll be here for about another month or so, and then
you'll get there. You'll get there. Great to meet you, Antonio.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Amazing. I run a medical diagnostic center. We do imaging and clinical laboratory tests, and we provide the reports in PDF format. So we store all data in an Oracle database. And I've been juggling with the idea of providing our customers with a different way of interacting with their data, health data, by building a tool that would allow them to ask questions about the results and get like a summary or feedback of how they're doing when they're interacting with the medical doctors. Possible to do
very straightforward. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very straightforward. Yeah, all the details on where the data is stored and how it's stored. MindStudio can connect to your Oracle database directly. You can have things that are already exported out of Oracle because it sounds like you got these PDFs, and so you don't have to touch Oracle. You just give it the data. It can absolutely ingest this data, kind of like the books. Thank you, John, for queuing it up. That data is just like the books. And then you can provide a chat interface or other interfaces for humans to be able to understand it and ask questions about it and all of that. Very straightforward to do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, another thing is, guys, again, we teach people to do it and everybody can learn to do it, but it doesn't mean that everybody's got time to want to learn to do it or want to do it. So Antonio, you might say this is great, but I actually don't want to learn to do it. We have, by the way, some are here, show of hands like this, who are like certified AI agent builders. Like I see some here in the room, there's many others. These are people who've already gone deep into MindStudio, gone through our 30-day boot camp and gotten, level 3 certified. And so they're available for hire as consultants, as projects. You might talk them into full-time if it's the right thing. They can help you build these things without you having to build them. You don't have to build your own. Okay, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Dimitri. This is kind of just a note to the audience here. I stumbled upon Dimitri's webinars back in April, like most of you probably did, joined a couple of them and came to some more, and then ended up in the boot camp program when he launched it back in, I think it was June or July. And what I can tell you, this is a phenomenal program. This is a phenomenal company. There's so much out there on LinkedIn. Everyone's trying to hang the moon and sell you just on all manner of things. But I think what's eminently practical about this course and about the way Dimitri and the team really presented is it's not about trying to teach you how to re-architect the world. There's so many easy, simple things that you can build that are totally transformative to your own work, to your personal work, to what you can bring to your team, to what you can bring to your leadership and your business. You'll be just amazed. And I know I threw this in the chat. The community here is phenomenal. Frankly, I think the community is worth the cost of entry, the golden tickets and all of it, because you'll learn, but the community is so supportive. And one thing I can guarantee, it will be a complete paradigm shift to whatever you come into it with. You'll come in with your ideas about what you think you need, and your vision about what you could do with it is going to blow wide open. And you'll find yourself thinking, well, maybe I could start a business. Maybe I could start a side hustle. Maybe I could get a promotion and be the lead automation person in my company, even if you came with just small ideas. So I highly encourage it. Can't say enough about it. Thanks, Dimitri.
Thank you. By the way, we don't have any salespeople in the company. Like literally zero. We don't have a single salesperson in the company. But we have passionate people who have discovered it and use it. And thank you for showing up, Tom, and making it clear to people. Like I don't think I could ever hire salespeople to be able to articulate things like that. Rich?
Thanks, Dimitri. Can everybody hear me? I've got my earbuds in. I'm never really sure these things work right.
You sound great.
Thank you. And not to pile on from Tom, but I finished the level 3 as well. I work in a bank in the mortgage division. I know just enough technology, emails, log in and out of different programs that we have to use, the muscle memory. If someone can learn how to do this and get certified and not completely destroy everything, everybody in this room can do it. I created a agent to take one of my repetitive tasks, like what Dimitri is saying, some of the small stuff that I have to do in every file that takes me at least 20 to 30 minutes to customize for that borrower. And just today's Wednesday, Monday, I used it and got 4 different, what we call condition sheets out in less than 20 minutes. So I saved well over an hour because I uploaded a PDF. I gave it the prompt to say, read, look for these words that I need from these conditions I need from the borrower. Give me only those conditions. Format it in this way to show me the information. I put a block in the loop for human in the loop to display it. And now I had a formatted email ready to go that, 30-second tweak here or there, copy, paste, send. So if someone that basically has 2 left thumbs can learn to do this, anybody can learn to do this. And Tom's right. The support is just unbelievable. Thank you, Dimitri, Lewis,
Yeah, thank
Danielle.
you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Gray?
Yeah, thank you, Dimitri. I know we're running low on time here. I asked this question kind of earlier on, but looking for some best practices. Most of the things that I'm trying to solve for using MindStudio are related to Salesforce, and there is API connectivity obviously within Salesforce, but I'm wondering if you have any best practices for negotiating Salesforce processes, reporting out of Salesforce, et cetera, and typically like combining different sources of data from maybe one report, one account, one opportunity, et cetera, and then creating outputs from that.
Lots of people are doing that. Whether I'm the right vessel to describe best practices, probably not. But ping me on LinkedIn and let me see if I can either point you in the right direction or if I am able to give you like the specifics. Yeah, happy to do it. Just like ping me.
Thank
Cool.
you.
And by the way, again, everybody, for whatever reason, we're not connected. I suspect we're all connected here on LinkedIn. If we're not connected, please, find me. And here's my LinkedIn and connect. And I'll be happy to accept your connection. And again, and if any of you decide to whatever show up to a boot camp, we'll see you there. Otherwise, again, just dive in, and we're excited to support you. And again, Slack is an amazing community. You know, it's hard to I believe communities aren't built. They're grown. They're like coalesced. They're formed. They have to be organic, otherwise they aren't really communities. They're just like weird things. But this really has turned into an amazing, extremely supportive community. And so one, I appreciate like all the community members that have articulated it and because they're the ones that make it so, right? We just kind of hold the space and support, but it's like all the people that have shown up that are just like leaning into this and helping one another. It's really awesome. Okay.
If I can make a quick plug, just because I'm getting a lot of DMs and I can't respond to them all. Folks asking about if we have an ambassador program. The answer is yes. I'll post a link in that in the chat right now so you can learn about it, what's involved with it, and how to apply as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Well, great to see you. And again, we actually do these, like they're all a little bit different, but we do these like 2-hour things every week and sometimes multiple times a week. And so, some people have come to multiple ones. We welcome you to come to as many as you like. And we're always excited to see you. And again, we're always here to help you on your journey on this. All right. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. John, safe travels and enjoy Costa Rica.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dimitri.
Uh-huh.
Bye.